Are you coming back to school with me? We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson, with your host on Teaching with Board Games, and I'm going to be doing a battle report today. I'm doing a battle report on a game I picked up recently in the last couple of months, actually. This is a game I'd previously owned. I don't even remember what I had done with my original copy of Advanced Space Crusade, but I don't know, somehow I got thinking about it again, heard about it, something just reminded me about this game, and I thought, I'm wondering if I can find this game again. And as I would have it on Kijiji in my area here, well, not too far from me, there was one for sale. And funny enough, it went for sale on my birthday. Now, I only found it like a month later, but I mean, hey, it was just, to me, that was just speaking to me, and I had to have it. So when I got this copy of this game, it was some of the things were in rough shape. The box is a bit beaten up. It's missing all of the miniatures, and there was a seventh board. There's 6 boards that come with the main set, but there was a 7th board that came from somewhere, and that's in pretty rough shape. But I mean, for the main components of the game, it's all there, it's all intact. And I thought, you know what, when I was looking at some different videos on YouTube about Advanced Space Crusade, and there was one person who'd done some videos about it, and I reached out to him and said, hey, I would love it if you did a battle report about this. He said, yeah, I've been thinking about it, but don't hold your breath, is kind of the message I got from him. So I thought, okay, I've got my copy now, and I've been working towards getting the pieces I need for it. And I now have all the pieces I need to play the game, and I thought, I'm going to do a battle report then. So here we go. Now, I'm not going to be doing a rules explanation of everything beforehand. I'll explain rules as I go along. If you already know the rules, great. And if I'm making mistakes, please do let me know in the comment section below. I do try to play by the rules, but sometimes I get things wrong. You know, I'm human. So let's take a look at the forces that are going to be going against each other today. So we have Space Marines, the Ultramarines against the Tyranids. So keep in mind, some models are proxy because like I said, the game didn't come with any of the models, and some are going to be the modern versions, the up-to-date 10th edition Warhammer 40,000 2023 versions of the things. So let's move this box out of the way and show you what we've got here. So we're going to start off here. We're going to take a look at the Space Marines. So these are the Marines here. These are the Marine forces. So we have Squad A. Like I said, there was no scouts, so I couldn't, and to buy any of the original scout models, or the Space Marine scouts, most of them come with snipers and stuff. It wasn't properly kitted out. So you know what? I'm just going to 3D print some pugs. So we have some Space Marine Scout pugs here who are ready to take on the forces of the Tyranids. So these are your regular Scout Marines, the pugs that look like Cadian Imperial Guardsmen. The one here that looks like a Catachan, knife in the mouth with a blue ring on the base, that is the Sergeant. And then the one here with the mustache and the Russian hat and the red ring, that is the Heavy Bolter. Okay, so that is the squad of 5 Space Marine pugs. Those are the only sort of Space Marine proxies. The rest are, well, there actually is one more proxy, and I'll talk about that in a second. So then we have a squad of Terminators as seen. So you have the Sergeant, red mask on the Sergeant, and the sword, although the Sergeant in the game does not come with a sword. And then you have 3 with Storm Bolters and Power Fists, and then 1 with an Assault Cannon and Power Fist. And these are from the Leviathan box set. And then you have we'll save him for last. So these are Tactical Marines. They have bolters and combat knives. And while this one actually has a heavy bolter, I'm going to be treating that as a heavy plasma gun because I simply don't have a Marine with a heavy plasma gun. And the one again with the red helmet is the Sergeant. And I'm just noticing here, this one has the flamer, so I'm going to swap this one out for the proper model so that they're all consistent. White helmets for the grunts, and then Sergeant has the red helmet. All right, and then last but not least, we have the Commander in Terminator armor. So Commander with Terminator armor is he's a bad boy. So these are the forces list that come with it. So Commander in Terminator armor, Stormbolter and a sword, Yeah, and he gets these things like fate points, and the fate points he can turn a dice into whatever facing he wants, you know, to make a failed combat roll into a successful combat roll, that kind of thing. Plus he grants extra actions. Any of the sergeants, so the scout sergeant, the marine sergeant, terminator sergeant, also give bonuses to the extra actions roll. If you're familiar with Space Hulk, that would be your command points roll. This, you get extra actions in a turn, but it's a D12 roll. You add you know, any of the bonuses you have, and depending on what number you get determines how many extra actions you get in the turn. All right, so that is it for the Space Marines. So you have 16 models there, ready to board the Tyranid ship and knock out the organs to save humanity. Let's take a look at the Tyranids. So these will be the Tyranid forces pitted against the Space Marines. Each blip, when you start off, you're going to take the whole set of blips, and you're going to, so these are the blips like you from the movie Aliens, where it's sort of tracking movement, but you don't know quite what's underneath it until it flips over and reveals the letter. The letter tells you what it is. So for ABC, I've got my Death Spitters. CDE, these are Tyranids with bone swords. I only own the 3 Tyranids currently, and like I said, I didn't come with the game, but when I'm using Von Ryan's Leapers here, I think they are good proxies for a close combat Tyranid. Then for that's DEF, then G through K is the Gene Stealers. So every blip is 2 Gene Stealers. It's a set number in this one, unlike in Space Hulk where it could be 1 to 3. This one is always 2. It's a nice middle ground. And then you have Termagants for the last ones. Now in this game they're called Hunter Slayers, but they are also armed with flesh borers according to the thing. So these are flesh borer guns that these ones have. So I'm guessing that somewhere along the line Hunter Slayers turned into Termagants in terms of their designation, their name, their classification, whatever you want to call it. So the only ones I don't have on here is I don't have Zotes, because I don't own any Zotes, and if I did, I don't even think I'd want to use it with this. It doesn't really seem like, I don't know, they're not in Tyranid stuff anymore, so I'd be reluctant to use it. The other one would be what they're called grabber slashers or something like that, and those to me sound like Hormagaunts, but I don't own any Hormagaunts. They're going to be my next purchase, but that will be something I can maybe add to a future episode if you'd like to see more of this. But that is that. So what you do then from this is you're going to buy the correct number of blips. Each blip costs 50 points, and the Tyranids get, in this size of a game, are getting 400 points. So I'm going to select 8 blips to purchase to put onto the Tyranids starting map. So here's their starting map, and it shows the 3 sections, which are identical to the Marine sections, which you'll see in a moment. But there's indications of how many blips can be on each. If the Marines get an ambush, then only the things in the ambush can move. But the Tyranids are also very flexible. They have these teleporter cysts, these things here, which can teleport them from on the board, within the board, but also within sections in here. That is until the Terminators, if they ever find the teleporter nexus and knock it out, and then the Tyranids are a lot less mobile. And it's happened in every practice game I played so far. We'll see if the Tyranids can hold on to their teleporter nexus this time around. Anyway, so buying the 8 blips, I'm going to buy 2 of each of the Gene Stealers. So that's 2, that's 4 there. I'm going to buy, that's 4, 1, 2, 3. You know what? I think, yeah, 3 Gene Stealers and a Termagant. That's what we're going to buy. All right. So that's going to be that. So these are going to be my starting blips for the game. These I'm going to put onto my map, and the rest are going to go into a mug, and the mug will then be for reinforcements. So when I draw reinforcements now, these are other Tyranids waking up from hibernation and coming to defend the ship. Okay. Now these are infinite. As blips are destroyed, they go back into the pool again to be drawn again. So yeah, the Tyranids don't need to worry about running out of troops, because the Marines are, let's face it, you know, an individual Marine against an individual Tyranid is a one-sided fight. So the Tyranids need the extra numbers on their sides in order to be able to even things out. Okay, so get those out of the way, and we'll get on to the next part. So I just want to mention here that too, with the forces, that the Space Marines are going to require 50 points in order to win. You get 30 points for every primary objective you take out, 10 points for every secondary, and I'll explain what that means in just a second. But it should also be noted, and it's really important to note, that you get, if you are ever defeated in a battle, wiped out, or if you are forced to withdraw, like you just say, okay, I'm losing too many, I'm going to get out of here, then you get -1 point for every Space Marine that dies. The reason that it happens if you're wiped out or withdraw is because the Space Marines are not able to retake the gene seed from the fallen Marines. It's important for them in the survival of the chapter to maintain the gene seed. So, and they don't want that to fall into the hands of the Tyranids. So that's -1 point for every one of those. So that can be huge, because all it would take is like 2 secondaries and a primary, and boom, they've got their 50 points. But if they're losing some Marines and things, then they have to get like a whole other secondary or primary in order to make up for those few points. Also, if you ever kill a stranger, you'll find sometimes there's strangers, and if any of them die, that's also -1 point. One other thing I want to mention with regards to the list building is there is options for the Tyranids to take mind slaves. So you can take like orcs and things like that. I mean, it's just Chaos Warriors. To me, it was just a GW way of trying to get the people to buy more minis or use other minis they have in the game. But the idea of mind slaves is not continued in the Tyranid lore, so I'm not going to use mind slaves, and I would never opt to use mind slaves in any game of this myself personally. So yeah, this is just a small battle, a skirmish based on the number of points. So it's 600 points for the Marines, 400 for the Tyranids. Again, Tyranids, that's their starting cost for what they have, but then they are infinite. The Marines are limited completely to what they have there, unless they find the dermal sphincter, in which case they can possibly top up one of their damaged units. But this is just a skirmish level. You get like much larger games going on if you so choose. All right. So here is the next stage of the setup, which is the explorations. So these are exploration tiles, and each one of these has some text underneath it, like these are the ducts, and ducts take you from the surface level here, the perimeter, into the core. So these are going to go onto these spaces here across the top of the Space Marines exploration board. So you have the right flank, left flank, and the center, and the Marines are going to be searching those. You can't go to the core until you've made it to the duct on the perimeter. So I have put, according to the set of instructions, I have the ducts. Each duct is going to go onto the pile of tokens here, and then those will be shuffled up. So there should be now 6, including the duct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 of these in each one. Now it just could so happen that it's the first one that you get, and the Marines have a choice. They can always go back to the duct. They don't have to. It's not a now or never thing once they find it, but once you take the duct, you can't go back. And so there may be secondaries that they're missing. If there could be sometimes good things. So I'm just going to peek that up there so you can see what I'm doing here. So I've just shuffled that first one. I'm putting it in here, and the second one. So shuffle this up. So this is going to represent all kinds of different events that are going to happen to the Marines as they're exploring the ship. Sometimes there'll be ambushes, sometimes there'll just be passageways where they can just move freely, sometimes the passageway gets blocked, in which case they lose a turn. Just all kinds of different things happening. So it's not all mapped out on the board pieces and the internal organ piece of the ship, but it's there we go. So now you see those are the 3 perimeter sets now ready to go. Now with these next 5, and so there's 5 in each of these piles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In each of these is going to go a primary objective. So the secondaries are somewhere in these piles already. I mean, I don't know where they are. They just get shuffled in randomly. So they could all be in one set. They could all be scattered throughout. They could be in the primary core, the perimeter, the core. Who knows? They're out there. but these ones are definitely within the core, right? So you have the respiratory vent, the sensory cluster, and the energy cortex. I'm not going to go into the details of what those do right now. If you're really interested, you can go back, you can pause the video and read the text on them. We'll encounter them as the Marines encounter them and see what their special abilities and things are, and what happens, what do they grant to the Tyranids, and what do the how do they affect the Marines when the Marines are fighting in that area. Okay, so these then go into the core sections. So that one goes there. Okay, so that is now the representation of the Space Marine strategies. So the Space Marines, as I showed you, have their tokens to represent which unit is which. So what we do then is we take their 4 tokens and we're going to place them onto this planning board. And if I forget who's who, then it's noted here in the side of the thing. So A, B, C, D. A is the scouts, B is the tactical Marines, C is the Terminators, and D is the commander. Usually you want the scouts doing the recon. I mean, that's scouts, it's what they do, but also there's the passageways, and if you get a passageway, you get a free turn of movement if it's scouts exploring, right? So so the scouts, we'll start there, and then we'll do the tactical Marines there, and now we just have the last one. So I don't want to spread them out too much, because otherwise it's going to take time to move these things around to those spaces. So we're going to go like that, and we're going to have the Terminators back up. Then, you know what, I think the Terminators are going to back up the Sergeant, the scouts there. So we're not going to be exploring this flank right now, but remember, it's only, they only need 50 points, which is two secondaries and a primary, or 2 primaries. So if I get the 2 primaries here, then that's 60 points, and that should be more than enough for a victory. Yeah, so all right, so that's the setup there for the Marines. Let's take a look at the Tyranid setup. So in knowing the Marines deployment, the Tyranids are very well aware of where the Marines are. So let's just remind ourselves that the Marines are only in the left and center flanks. They're ignoring the right flank for now, just because of the limited numbers that they have. I mean, they could be putting the Terminators over there, or maybe the captain exploring by himself, but then that means that the captain, they want to come back. It's going to take them a long time to come back again. I figure just focus on 2 with them and move forward on those spaces. So knowing that, there's no point in the Tyranids putting anything on those sides. Now the Tyranids can teleport using their teleport assists anywhere within here for free, but they have to move up into these spaces. So anything that's going to be in the ambush areas here have to be there now. And but then keeping in mind too, when they find things, that these things in the teleport assists are not going to be available to come back down. So need to keep that in mind too. Now, as I say that out loud, that makes me think, you know, perhaps I don't need to overwhelm in the ambush boxes, because I mean, who knows? I don't even know whether I'm going to be able to ambush them, because that's up to these cards. These cards here are going, some of them will say ambush, in which case then I'm taking the ambush ones. Ambush can be, they can be great for the, you know, quick hits on the things. The Marines tend to be in a very disadvantageous position, but given that my numbers are quite low, I want to be careful. I think I'm going to yeah, I think I might just leave the Gene Stealers up there, and like 1 squad Gene Stealers each, and just do a little probing attack against them. Just hit and hopefully do some damage. Don't expect to wipe them out completely, but like, I don't know that 2 squads of Gene Stealers would necessarily wipe them out completely. And if I do that, I could, there's a chance I just don't get a they could go to a secondary objective right away, in which case then my Gene Stealers are trapped up there and I can't even bring them into the fight. Whereas if they're down here, I can possibly be bringing them into the fight. So Yeah, I think one squad of Gene Stealers each in the ambush sections. So that's 2 Gene Stealers, 2 Gene Stealers, and then I've got a Death Spitter, Bone Sword, and Termagants, and Death Spitter, Bone Sword, and Gene Stealers against the Marines and the captain here. All right, so I think that's a better thing here. And there's always a chance too, like before the Marines find anything, there's always a chance that I could be getting more reinforcements into the Tyranids hive thing here. So let's see what happens. All right, so I'll walk you through turn 1. So this was where it all starts. So every turn is going to begin here, and what I've done too is I printed off this dice special for this actually. So it's a little dice, but on the 6 side here, it's got the Ultramarines thing. So this is going to be our turn counter. So I'm just going to be noting what turn we're playing on based on this. Not that really there's a set number of turns. You play until you're done, until either the Marines are wiped out or the Marines have scored enough points to achieve their objective. So, but we'll use this anyway. So turn 1, the first thing you're going to do is the Space Marines deploying. So in the deploying phase, the Space Marines are able to move things around. So if there could only be 1 squad counter up here in these ones, so the Terminators cannot come up here. But if I wanted to, I could put the Terminators down here, or I could move the Captain down here and just say the Captain's ready to move around where I need him. But right now, we don't know where anything is. We don't know what's going on. So we're going to just focus on this. We're just going to just leave things as they are. I've already had a chance to set things up the way that I want them, so to move things around now would be a little bit silly. Again, maybe if I had realized I'd done some bad deployment, but I don't think I have. So then then we go into the exploration phase. In the exploration phase, like I said, we're starting with the perimeter first. You know, these perimeter tokens here, where we're looking for the duct to get down to the primary objectives. So each one I can't search here because I don't have a recon squad here to search. Right, so it's the recon squad that's doing the searching, moving on ahead forward and trying to locate the parts. So now I could put everything into one flank, right? But then the Tyranids could put everything into one flank on their side, right? So it's all, it's how you want to do it. Yeah, in this case, I'm just going to go with what I've got. Enough rambling here. So the Pug Scouts are starting off here, and they find a passage. Now the passage says that it leads further into the ship, and this is a free movement if they're scouts. And as this is the Pug Scouts here, we can even, just to help remind people, we can put the Pug Scouts there, and we can put the Terminators here, and we can put a Marine here, and the Captain here. Just to remind, no, you know what? I think that's kind of getting in the way. That's getting in the way. We'll leave that. But being that it's the Scouts, and it says here at the bottom, if the recon squad are Scouts, and this is the first passage card turned over this turn, yeah, because if I turn over another passage card, I'm not going to get to go again. It's only after the first one, so they're going to get to go again, and they find a duct. So there they go. Now they can make that choice to go down into the primary. Sorry, camera cut out there. But yeah, so the Scouts are going to take the duct, go on for the primary objective right away, leaving anything that was here behind. There's no climbing back up the duct once you're down here. So these could be good, they could be bad, we just won't know. Now the Marines on this side are going to their exploration, and it's a passage. So they are also getting a free ride, but unlike the Scouts, because they are not Scouts, they don't get to look at the next tile. So this is the Marines' complete exploration phase. And so now we go into encounters. There is no encounters as dictated by the things here. So we go on to Tyranid deployment. So the Tyranid players rearrange forces on the Hive networks, shifting defenders to areas under threat. So now, let me just shift everything down here. Shift this down and move the Tyranid thing over. So now if I was playing a real game of this against an opponent, then I would be, this would be hidden. The opponent wouldn't see where I have my Tyranids, what I'm deploying and things. I'm playing against myself here, so it is what it is. So now at this point I could take things down, because anything in the ambush sections is not going to be helpful in an attack. But seeing as it's, you know, I don't know yet. I mean, there still could be ambushes that they're going to encounter in the core section of the thing. All that's for certain is there will be at least one primary objective in each of those different core sections, and each of the 3 core sections is guaranteed one primary objective. It's just unsure of when it is. So they're just going to we're just going to leave it here because I don't want to give up the opportunity for an ambush in case an ambush does come up. But this is under a greater threat than this one right now. But then who knows? I mean, I could get the Marines on the one finding a secondary objective, then I want to defend that, particularly if it's my teleporter nexus. I keep losing that in the games. But what I'll do is I'm going to use the teleporter nexus. I'm going to move the one squad of death spitters over here to help secure this, because this the primary objective, they're going for a primary. If they're going for a secondary on this one, that's only 10 points. This is 30 points. This is bigger, so I need to shore that up a bit. So I could put another bone sword there, but I don't want to leave this one completely undefended, so we're going to leave it at that. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is the Tyranids, that's Tyranid deployment, and then Tyranid reinforcements. So we're going to see if more Tyranid reinforcements are arriving. Now the game does come with this handy dandy quick reference sheet with a lot of different things you'll need to know on it, including down here you have the reinforcements table. So we're doing a skirmish. So we're doing the smallest kind of mission here. So we're looking at this one. So the Tyranids are going to roll a 7 to 12 just to get 1, whereas you're playing other ones, they can go up to maybe 3 blips per turn. Right? And if the Marines have captured the hive mind synapse, then you're subtracting 2 from the roll. Okay, and then they have to break down the points here again. So let me just get my D12 out and make that roll. Now in the game, 12-sided dice, or D12s, are the only kinds that are going to be rolled for all the rolls that are being made. So randomizes a dodecahedron, for those math nerds out there, and they randomize between 1 to 12. And these are what you're going to use for attacks, for reactions, for you know, the reinforcements, etc. For clarity's sake, I'm going to use blue for the Ultramarines, and I don't own any green ones, so maybe I'll have to get some green ones for this game just to match my Tyranids, but I'll use these red ones for the Tyranids. So if ever I'm rolling them together, just for speed's sake, not having to roll 2 separate lots of dice, then you just know that the red are Tyranids and blue are for the Ultramarines. Okay, so rolling up for the Tyranids and a 5. So that's no reinforcements this turn for the Tyranids. They needed at least a 7 to bring in 1 Tyranid reinforcement blip. And so that's going to be it for turn 1. So moving on now to turn 2. So put it on to number 2. Again, not important, just thought it'd be nice to do. So we're going to go on with the Space Marines deploying phase. So now that I know that the Marines are getting here towards the thing, do I want to move the captain around to help support this? Might not be a bad idea. We are going for thing, but if they find a secondary objective, it's just going to be the Marines all by themselves. But the primary objective, I think, is important enough. That's 30 points as opposed to 10 points. The captain is going to make the move down now. So he's coming down to the reserves, and next turn he can come up into there. So to help support in that cause. So that's going to be it for the move, for the deploying. Onto the exploration. So the scouts are exploring here, and they find the primary objective right away. It is the respiratory vent. So that is going to be a battle, and it's a good thing that the Tyranids did decide to shore that one up. But we're going to go on with the exploration for the Space Marines, and these ones are getting another passage. So there is a fair number of passages in the game. Unfortunately, it would have been nicer to see other things, but for now it's just been passages, ducts, and the respiratory vent. So now it's up to the Marine player to decide, are they going to go for this primary objective? Now, sounds like a silly question. Are they going to go for the objective? Of course they're going, but I guess the better question, are they going to go for it now? Because they can always hold position before actually going for the respiratory vent, thereby giving the captain time to move up into position and support this assault. Or they can go on and move ahead without him. I mean, the captain was moving that position, wasn't expecting to find it so soon, but they did. So now they can do that. But the thing is, if they do that, then they're going to be giving the Tyranid player time to bring in more reinforcements and everything. So, yeah, I mean, because the Tyranids redeploying in the order of things, you do the Space Marines deploying where they move, you do the exploration, then you do the encounters, right? So then you're going to, now what's going to happen is this encounter at this objective, if they choose to do so. Then the Tyranid players get to redeploy on their map, and then the Tyranids get more reinforcements. So it's important to decide now, because if they don't, it goes into the Tyranid redeploy phase, and of course the Tyranid is just going to move everything over into that thing to help shore up that respiratory vent and keep the Marines out. And will having the captain there make enough of a difference? Who knows, right? So it's tricky to say. So in this case, then the Marines are going to, the captain's going to give the order to go ahead. They're going to say, go ahead. Scouts and Terminators are going to go for the respiratory vent on their own without the captain's backup. All right, so now I'll show you how we set up for an encounter. In case you're unfamiliar with the game, this is what the encounters are going to be fought on. And I should note that if you get an ambush encounter, that's one that the Marines cannot choose to avoid. That's one that they must fight because they've been ambushed, right? That makes sense. So there's different tiles, and the tiles have different numbers on them. So this is tile number 1, this is tile number 2, and so on, right? So these tiles are what are going to determine the layout of the board. Now, the Marines don't know what it is. The Tyranid player does know, but the Tyranid player can also just tailor everything to exactly the way they want it. Maybe the Marines stumbled into a place which is actually closer than the Tyranids would have liked. They've actually made it quite close to the organ they're trying to disrupt. So how do you do that then? You represent it with these small tiles. So you create this. So I'm going to just take these, shuffle these up. Let's get these out of the way. And then behind their screen, the Tyranid player is going to make a tableau of these, right? They're going to make the map, which will be played upon. All right, so I'm just going to cut the deck there, and there's the first one. So I have number 6. So number 6 is here. Now I take another one, I flip it over, and now it's a number 3. So now notice there's purple and there's green. So I can't put purple like this because the purple doesn't attach into anything. So it has to be this green this way, or I could do the purple this way. I can do it one way or the other. Okay, so I'm going to, let's just say I do it like that. And then what I do is I take the these tokens. So I take a number 3, and I take the number 6. Okay, I take those 2, and I'm going to put those into a container like so. Shake that up and just draw randomly number 3. So my next tile has to join to number 3. So it's number 5, and I'll put number 5 like so. Okay, so now I have 3, I have 6, and I add number 5. And I draw randomly, and I get number 6. So I'm taking the next tile, number 6, and it's number 4. So we'll put 4 like that. Okay. So now I'll add number 4 to the pile. And you're going to use all 6 tiles always. This is for primary or secondary objectives. The only one that you don't is the ambush. It uses 5 of the 6 tiles. So back onto number 6 again. So coming off number 6 here is going to be number 2. So number 2 is going to be down here. And so it should be noted number 2 is always, as far as I have seen, the Space Marine objective. So just to remind yourself, that's what the Marines are going for, so that you don't, because you're going to have this to say where are the Marines coming in. You don't want the Marines to start right there. That's just going to be like, because you can't start in the room where the first room where they are at. So they're just going to kill the organ, and you'll have lost before you started. All right, so that's number 2 in there, and then the last one is token 3. So number 1 goes on to number 3, and number 3 is up here. Okay, so I can go like that. So that is the layout. So, you know, ideally you want to keep the Marines as far away as possible, but again, you don't have full control over where everything is going. So the Tyranid player would keep this map hidden from the Marines, and now we're going to decide where to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, here, you know, anywhere along here is kind of, now I can't go there because you see it has the 2 arrows, so I need to be entering where it is, 2, so they have 2 entry points. So that is legal here. That's a legal entry point for the Marines. And that's what I would do. So what I would do then is I need to set up the Marine board and get them ready to fight. Almost forgotten a very important point here. That is, the Tyranid player is allowed to deploy their blips onto the map now. Now I can't take anything from the ambush section. I can't take these ones right now because they're not there, right? So I can take anything from first wave or second wave, but not here. So I'm going to deploy these. Now the thing is the blips do not get cannot move around while the Marines are exploring. If they do, I mean, you can move, but what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting the tile down and then showing the movement, because these blips, as I said, they represent the movement. That's a little blip going across the radar screen indicating movement. If they don't move, nothing registers. So the idea is that you want to stay still as you know, until the Marines are getting close, and then you can start to launch your traps against them. So let's remember what I've got here. I've got that's a Death Spitter, that's a Bone Sword, no, 2 Death Spitters, a Gene Stealer, and a Termagant, or two Gene Stealers and 2 Termagants. So I've got 2 Death Spitters in this force. So now I cannot put them in the square that the Marines are starting at, but I can put them in other spots. You know what? I'm going to put the Tyranids on both sides flanking. So maybe if they open one and find the one Tyranid, they're going to concentrate on that, and the other one's going to surprise attack them. And I think I will just go like that. And they have not found the teleporter cyst and knocked it out, so these teleporters will also be appearing on the board. So for each of the objectives, you should just give a quick read over of what your what the rules are for it. So it's going to have some special rules about the chemicals and stuff in the area. That's going to have some effects on the Marines. Using board section 1 to 6, the objective is on location 2. All the squads from recon and assault, so with all the things I've already said. So any blips from first and second wave boxes, and then 2, so this tells us 2 cysts can be set up anywhere on the board. So again, I have to set these up now, so I'm only getting 2 blips, and I'm going to put them, I'm going to put 1 here, and I can put 2 on one board if I wish. And I think I'm going to put, I'll put 1 here. Okay, so that's going to be my layout for now. And so those are what things are going to be. You know what? I could put 1 up here and maybe draw the Marines up that way. That might be sneaky. Let's do that. There and there. There. Try and be sneaky. Okay, and so that's my layout for the thing. So let's go to the board and the initial setup of the Marines. So this is all the Marines know, this is all the Marines see, is they see this. And these are, I'm going to put some doors down now. These are these valve doors. I'm actually trying to 3D print some valve doors. They kind of look like buttholes, but these are the things you put there. Now all these doors, you put them on every exit, regardless of whether that exit goes somewhere or not. The Marine doesn't know. But if they're spending a turn trying to open a door that doesn't go anywhere, that's their whole turn, because sometimes the doorways are small enough, you know, they look like they might lead to something, but they're too small to get through, and they're trying to see if they can open whatever. but it just doesn't happen. So they're not able to get through, and they waste a turn looking. So this is all the Marines know right now. They don't know which way to go. They don't know which way their objective is. They just know that now they're close. They somehow sense that they are close to their objective. And so they're going to make the move forward from here. So as I said, the only ones who are available for this mission are, you have the Pug Scouts and you have the Terminators. So this is the troops. Now, they don't have to stay in their specific squads. So I mean, I could put 3 pugs on, so I have the sergeant, and 2 pugs here, and the heavy, and 1 here. He's going to go with these ones, and we'll put the heavy Terminator here. You know, we'll split them up a bit, like so. Okay, so the Terminators are lending support to the puggies, but the Marines will get the first turn and will start moving through, exploring, doing their actions, doing what they need to do. And unless the Tyranids choose to suddenly open a door and start the combat, it's going to be a couple turns of the Marines just exploring and opening doors and things until the Tyranids feel that they're ready to launch an ambush, or if the Marines open a door into one of the where the blips are located, and in which case then we'll show what happens when that happens. But for now, let's just move the Marines. So at the start of the Marine turn, what we're going to do is we're going to look to see how many extra actions they're going to get for the turn. Now they have a Scout Sergeant with them, and they have a Terminator Captain with them. So for each Sergeant is +2, so they're getting +4. So +4 to the roll, and they roll a 5. 5 + 4 is 9. They're getting 2 extra actions. So I'll take 2 extra action tokens here to remind myself that the Scouts, the Space Marines are getting these extra actions. Okay, so different actions that you can take in your turn would be charge, advance, ready weapon, or reload. So a charge, you can move your number of your squares to your speed +2, but you can't fire in that case. Advance, you can move up to your speed, and you can snap fire and make close combat attacks. Each attack is costing 1 square of movement. Readying your weapon, you move only 1 square, and then you do an aimed fire attack, enter Overwatch, throw a grenade, or place a melta bomb. And then reload is when your gun is run out, you're just taking an action to reload your gun. So I'm going to start off with the first pug here, and this brave little soul is going to run forward and charge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So charging straight forward. Then it's going to take an extra action to go into Overwatch. So getting ready if anything opens up that door. And then the Terminator here is, I'm just trying to be careful and guard these doors. Okay, so you know what, we'll maybe put the heavy on this side. No, you know what? We had it there. Well, like in the deployment thing, it doesn't really matter. There's no squares here, so the movement doesn't count yet. So we just charge here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and because they're unwieldy, unmaneuverable. I can't remember what the U stands for right now. I think it's unmaneuverable. So they have to have it moved at least 1 square in order to turn 90 degrees. So this Terminator did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 turn there, and then to the last extra action to go on Overwatch here. So we're going to watch that door, and then this Terminator will come 1 into their advance and go into Overwatch, watching that door, and these little pugs will run into here and just stay out of the way. Okay, so they don't get caught in any crossfire. Not that you can shoot your own teammates, but you know, just thematically, it just makes sense. Then we'll go 1 here. We'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh, this guy could have moved over one more. We'll put that one there. And we'll put another Terminator here. And the sergeant's, you know what, the sergeant will lead by example. He'll go on there. But I think that's going to be it for the Marines' first play. So now it would be a case of, do the Tyranids want to reveal themselves, or do they want to wait and let the Marines maybe split their forces more, split up into different directions? Because if the Tyranids move, they're going to reveal where there is indeed another board section. Right now the Marines have 3 sections to go, and there could only be one way, there could be 2 ways, there could be 3 ways around to different things here. They don't know. And that's kind of the cool thing about this game, is that the Marines are working with incomplete information. They don't know where to go from here. They just have to try to do the best they can. The Tyranid player is going to try to separate them, split them up, and pick them off as they can. So I'm looking at this one in relation to the map here, and it just so happens to be facing in the same direction that we face when we look at it this way, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, you just have to reorient it in your mind to know. But I see that's to the right of where the Marines are here. So it's over here is a room, and it has stuff in it, and over here is a room and has stuff in it. I'm thinking this might be a good chance to pounce on that poor puggy scout and start to try and get some kind of advantage, because it is unfortunate on the Tyranid side that they were unable to get any ambush or something to maybe wear down the scouts, you know, because they just have 2 full squads coming into this, and this is a primary objective, so this is serious. Yeah, it would have been good to have knocked down 1 or 2. I don't know if they would have taken out the whole squad, but 1 or 2 would have been nice. But anyway, so let's see what I have there. I have Gene Stealers and a Death Spitter. So I think it's time to unleash on the hounds. Now I could come out this door here, but then this guy's got Overwatch on me, so that's a little troublesome. I might just come flooding out there, and you know what? Well, this guy's supposed to be on Overwatch too. He's also on Overwatch. Yeah, come out there and maybe just see if I can get him behind. Okay. So let's do that. We are going to bring out the Tyranids on that side. Let me get that set up. Okay, so I just quickly conferred the rules on this one and found I was getting it a little bit wrong. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to move the blips, and upon moving the blips, I place the appropriate board sections to show where they are. So in this case, it's the one adjacent here, and the blips are there. Now, it doesn't matter. I thought because the Tyranids were electing to move and open the door that they would automatically get the surprise. It doesn't actually work that way. When the blips move, or when the blips are discovered in any form, whether it's because the Space Marines have opened the doors onto that section, or whether it's because the blips have moved, which is what is in this case, each player rolls a d12, and whoever scores highest, there it is, whoever scores highest gets to place the blips. Anyway, I'm going to take that chance because right now I think that there was a good opportunity here to do something if allowed. So, and 9 to 5. So Tyranids have it. So Tyranids are indeed getting the surprise on the scouts.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson, with your host on Teaching with Board Games, and I am just finishing up the editing of this first part of the Advanced Space Crusade campaign. I was hoping to just do it all in one shot, but it's at this point it's almost 1 hour long, and I've just got to getting to the first combat. So I know there was some introduction stuff with introducing the forces and things like that, talking a little bit about the rules. I said I wasn't going to go into full rules explanations, but I seem to be doing a lot of rules explanations as I'm going through. But hopefully you're enjoying it, and if you have any suggestions for the Tyranid side or the Space Marine side, what you think either force should be doing, please leave a message in the comment section below. I'd love for the audience to get involved in this one and say what they think is the best course of action here to take. And otherwise I'm going to be starting to film again in the near future. I've had to move everything because I put it into my game table, which is enclosed, so there's a little sort of space inside the game table. I've moved everything inside there, and so that way it's going to be, I can play it over the course of the next week, and without having to worry about leaving my game table, dedicated to just that game. All right, but hope you're enjoying that, and as I say, look forward to hearing your suggestions. Remember to hit like and subscribe down below. It does help the channel. Until next time, I'm your host, Craig Thompson Wood, on Teaching with Board Games, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school?